Hey there crafter, and welcome to the final installment of this Crochet Friday mini series. And in this week's video we are going to be learning how to do the famed waffle stitch. This pattern definitely took the internet by storm. I feel like it was kind of like last summer, maybe last year sometime. But anyways, I of course didn't actually try it out until like way after the fact, but once I did, I think it is so awesome and I understand why everybody was freaking out about it so long. But let's jump straight into this pattern. First of all, let's talk about what stitches do you need to know. For this project, you need to know how to crochet the chain stitch, how to crochet the double crochet stitch, and also how to crochet the front post double crochet stitch. If you don't know how to do the front post double crochet, then click the card right up there. I've got a tutorial that clearly walks through how to do it. I'll talk about it briefly here, but if you want a more in-depth look at how to do front post double crochet, definitely give that video a watch. The yarn I'm using today is going to be this red heart, and this is some like neon green yarn. I'll look up if I can find the actual color name, and that'll be linked down in the description below. I'm using a size H 5mm crochet hook. Again, as with all these Crochet Fridays that I've done so far, just pick whatever yarn you want to work with and then adjust your hook size accordingly. I like teaching tutorials using like a red heart or a Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn because it's really easy to see what you're doing, but I wanted to also show you guys this one. I'll show you more later at the end, but this is one that I did using some Lion brand homespun, and it's actually a lot easier to work in this yarn than some other patterns because you don't really have to see where you're going. I'll explain it. Let's actually get into the pattern. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook, and then we need to make our foundation chain. So for our foundation chain, we need to crochet a multiple of 3 plus 2 stitches. So I'm going to do 15 plus 2 stitches. So 1, 2, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, a total of 6, 1, 2, 3, a total of 9, 1, 2, 3, a total of 12, 1, 2, 3, a total of 15. So I'm doing 5 times 3, and then once you do your multiple of 3, you need to add an additional 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. So now we're going to work our first row. This row does not repeat, the other 2 rows will. So our first row is just kind of getting things set up for us. The first step is to work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4 right there, yarn over, and work a double crochet in that spot. Really important note here, we're going to let this chain 3, that's like our turning chain, we're going to let that count as our first double crochet stitch. So that's a double crochet stitch. This is obviously a double crochet stitch we just did. And to finish off the first row, we need to work double crochet all the way across. So we're just going to work evenly. I'm going to work double crochet across to the end of my row and then meet you there at the end once I've worked across my row evenly. But just straight up basic double crochet. So this is row 1. I just worked double crochet evenly across, pretty straightforward. This is a good spot to check and make sure that we're starting off correctly, because if you did the starting chain, the multiple of 3 plus 2 correctly, you will end up with a multiple of 3 double crochet. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 double crochet. And again, we're counting the turning chain as a double crochet. So 15 is a multiple of 3, so we're in pretty good shape. So now for row 2, this is going to be a repeating row, but we have 2 rows that we repeat. So we're going to do row 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, over and over and over. So let's learn row 2. We're going to start by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and this is going to count as both our first double crochet and our turning chain. So we're going to turn our work. So that's like the stitch right above this first one here. Then in our next stitch, we're going to work a front post double crochet. So this is where you yarn over and go around the post of the stitch, so that way the stitch sits in front, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And it's called a front post double crochet because we're going around the post, and then the stitch we just did, it moves it and sits it to the front. So now it's time for a repeating part of our project. We're going to do 2 double crochet and then a front post double crochet until we have just 1 stitch left. So make sure though that we don't work in the top of the stitch that we just did the front post in. So we've already worked in this stitch here, so we're not gonna work through there. We're gonna work here next. Very important to just note that. We're gonna work a double crochet in the next stitch. And another double crochet in the following stitch as well. So 2 double crochet. And then in the third stitch, we're going to work a front post double crochet around it. And we're going to repeat that across. Work 2 double crochet. So 1, and then 2, and then a front post double crochet around the third stitch. We're going to repeat this process until we get to the end of our row. Alright, so I'm working my last front post double crochet here after doing that 2 double crochet front post double crochet pattern across. Once I do that, I'm going to finish the row by working a double crochet stitch in that third chain, that top chain from our chain 3 turning chain. So right here is where I'm going to work. And just work a double crochet in that stitch. So what we've done this row is we've created some of the vertical bars of our waffle stitch. You know how like a waffle, they have the little squares kind of sticking down in there? We've created these upright bars for one of our sets of boxes. What we need to do next is create the pieces going across, and that we're going to do using front post double crochet. As a quick note, there is a front and a back to this work. So the front and the back do look different, just as a quick aside. So here is row 3. We're going to start by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. That first 3 chain counts as a stitch. And then in our next stitch, which is that front post double crochet from the previous row, we're just going to work a normal double crochet in the top of it. And now it's time for the repeating pattern for this row. We're going to do 2 front post double crochet followed by just a normal double crochet. So in the next 2 stitches, I'm going to do a front post double crochet. So front post double around this guy, and front post double around this guy. Those are just the 2 double crochet that we did from the previous row. And then in that third stitch, which is going to be another front post double crochet from the previous row, we're going to work just a normal double crochet. So just come into the top of the work there. So if we look at the correct side, like right now we're working from the wrong side, working on the correct side, we end up seeing that we're creating this horizontal bar when we do the front post on the back side, because it basically pushes the tops of these stitches to the front to create that horizontal beam. So that's just kind of to give you a feel for why the pattern works up the way it does. But we're going to keep repeating this. So 2 front post double crochet followed by just a normal double crochet. Here's my first front post, my second front post, double crochet, and then work just a normal double crochet in the top of the third stitch. I'm going to repeat this process to the end, and then in my very last stitch, work a double crochet. So we go front post, front post, double, front post, front post, and double crochet. So now that we're done with the repeating part of a row, we're going to end with just 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3 turning chain. So that is row 3. Now we're going to just keep repeating row 2, row 3, row 2, row 3 to keep creating our project. So I'll go ahead and do row 2 and 3 again so you can really see what it looks like. So row 2 we're repeating again. So chain 3, turn our work. In the next stitch, work a front post double crochet, So now what we're going to do is our repeating project where we do 2 double crochet followed by a front post double crochet. So that's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and a front post. 2 double crochet, so 1, 2, and then a front post. 2 double crochet, and a front post. 2 double crochet, and a front post. That brings us almost to the end of our row. We're going to finish off by doing just 1 normal double crochet in the top of our turning 3 chain. So that's just a repeat of row 2. As a quick note, when you work this project, when you get to the end, you want to stop on a row 2 because as you can see, stopping at row 2 makes us have a nice box here, nice box here. Whereas if we stop on a row 3, it's not going to look as crisp and clean at the end. Let me go ahead and show you row 3 one more time. Chain 3. Doing our work. In our second stitch, work a just normal double crochet. And now for the process we repeat across, we're going to do 2 front post double crochet followed by a double crochet. So my first front post, my second front post, followed by a double crochet. Repeat that, 2 front posts, so 1, and then 2, followed by just a normal double crochet, 2 front post, 1, and 2, followed by just a normal double crochet, and again 2 front post, 1, 2, followed by a normal double crochet. To end the row, we're going to do a double crochet in the top of our chain 3. So now remember, when we work the row 3 part, we're working on the back side, but if we flip it over to the right side or the front side, you can see the nice waffle stitch, that really nice raised box with the little divots forming really nicely. And that's all there is to it to this pattern. Just keep repeating rows 2 and 3 over and over and over until it's the size that you want it to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project and were able to follow along. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have ideas on how you're going to be using this. Just as a little bit of inspiration, I'll show you this scarf here. Now actually I'm kind of toying with the idea of unraveling it and making it 1 box narrower so I can make it longer because it's kind of really short and kind of an awkward length. But this is with one of Lion Brand's homespun yards. I believe it is the color pattern Sunday Stripes. And oh my goodness, the waffle stitch looks so amazing in this yarn. And what I hear from a lot of people tend to love or hate this yarn. I'm one of the people who absolutely loves this yarn, but there's a lot of people who really hate the Lion Brand homespun yarn, and I totally get it because working with this yarn, it can be really hard to see where your stitches are. So this pattern is actually great for working with this yarn because you don't have to do so much lining up exactly in the top of stitches, but you kind of line up in these front post stitches and just the flat stitches, so you're just kind of lining up more in the texture versus needing to identify a stitch. So with this yarn doing the waffle stitch, it's a lot easier to see where to work, and I think it works up so nicely. My sister got a whole bunch of this yarn when Lion Brand had their yarn on sale for $1. I'll link that video up there, that was a fun haul. When we did that haul, she bought a whole bunch of some homespun yarn and she wants to make a blanket out of it, but my hope is, I think I've convinced her, I've got to show her how to do it, or maybe I'll make her watch my video. But I'm trying to talk her into doing the blanket as a waffle stitch, and it would be so awesome if she does it in this yarn. And whether you do it in this yarn, or you just do a waffle stitch even in a yarn like, you know, something like Red Heart that isn't normally something that we think of as being soft and plush, The stitch itself adds a lot of texture, so like even in the red heart, it feels really nice and thick and soft. Of course, in the homespun's already a really soft yarn, and so it's super plush and cozy. I do like this because it's also a great one if you want to do baby blankets, because there's not a ton of holes in this blanket. You know, the back side's kind of flat and soft. The front side, you know, even though it's got some texture, it's still soft because it's very nice and thick. So this would be a cute pattern for doing like a baby blanket. Just obviously, you know, use yarn that would be appropriate for a baby blanket. But thanks so much for watching my video, and make sure you come back next Tuesday because I will, as always, have a tutorial Tuesday. I've got some fun videos planned coming up in March. Got them all written down here in my planner, so fun stuff coming up. Make sure you come back. If you are not already a subscriber, I would beg of you, please hit that subscribe button. I would love it if you joined the crafting family. And don't forget to also hit the bell icon so that way you get notified when I do post new content. But that's what I've got for today. Thank you so much for watching and happy crafting. Okay, so not gonna lie, I'm filming this video way in advance. This is when I'm filming it. Okay, that says January 31st, but the date's not important. What's important is it's like dinner time, and I keep talking about waffles. I think I'm gonna go make myself 2 Eggo waffles because those things are good. You gotta get the chocolate chip kind, you know, you let the butter melt into the sections. I'm feeling some waffle cravings come on. So I think I'm gonna go get myself some food after talking about the waffle stitch.